Hokairi! Welcome back to my channel, Made Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we are going to be doing a huge book haul. I've developed this really bad habit of only filming book hauls like once, possibly twice a year. So every time I do these videos, they are insanely long, and there's just a lot of books to go through. This one is no different. This is basically an entire year of book buying, so from March 2023 to February 2024, this current month. These are all of the books that I've acquired. There are a few exceptions where there was like a special edition or limited edition that the shipping to Japan just wasn't worth it, so I had it shipped to my American house. There's a couple Kickstarters that I backed that are like that, so those are not here. But I am actually going to go to the States for the next couple months, or the next month and a half. That's dramatic. The next month and a half I'll be in the States, so I can show those books when I'm over there. But these are the ones that I currently have with me in Japan. Now, like I said, I've got a lot to go through, so I'm not going to talk about all of the books in depth. I might say one or two things about them and then move on, because we don't want to be here all day. But there are a couple favorites I'm sure I'll talk about. There is one particular package that arrived, though, that prompted me to finally film this video, because I am over the moon excited to finally have these books in my hands. And I'm going to save that for last, save the best for last. Well, best is dramatic, but you know, those are the ones that made me want to film this video, so I'll put those at the end. But I'm going to separate this into three different sections. The first section of this book is going to be all the, I guess, normal books that I've acquired, that are not special editions. The second section is going to be my broken binding section. I am on their subscription and have been since the very beginning, so I get the broken binding books every month. So the second section of this video is going to be me showing those books, which are all gorgeous. And then the last section is going to be non-broken binding special editions. But we're going to be here for a while, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Some of these books I had forgotten that I had bought within the last year. Like, I knew I had them, don't get me wrong, but I had forgotten that I hadn't officially hauled them on the channel yet, so I was like, oh, I can't believe I haven't talked about that yet. So the first couple books in that haul are kind of that ilk. The first one is Small Miracles by Olivia Atwater. This was the SPIFBO 8 winner last year. If you don't know, I am a SPIFBO judge, so the self-published fantasy blog off. I am part of Team Before We Go blog, and we're part of, you know, the whole competition. And this was the winner of the entire thing, and I think it was so well deserved. I tabbed the living shit out of this, and I bought, let's see if my camera will focus. There we go. I tabbed the crap out of this and I bought this physical edition like right away. But I hate this cover. Like, I despise it. It does not do the story, the wonderful story inside justice. So I backed the Kickstarter for this, and actually that is one of the books that's arrived in the States. So you'll see a more beautiful edition of this when I talk about that one. Next, we have a prized possession of mine, and that is the Ark that I got from Zamal Akhtar for the third book in the Gunmetal Gods series. When he reached out and said, do you want an Ark? I was like, it's not even a question. Absolutely, send it my way. The first one is Gunmetal Gods, the second being Conqueror's Blood, and the third one is, why did I just blank on it? Elder Epoch. There we go. So this is my treasured Ark version. Talk about tabbing. Look at this monstrosity. But it's got that flop we all love. I mean, I am a special edition hardback girly when it comes to collecting, but when it comes to the reading experience, you really can't deny that a floppy paperback like this that just stays open for your reading pleasure, this reading experience is unmatched. And this book gave me nightmares. Okay, I was messaging Zamal like, okay, I'm like, this book is getting into my dreams and I don't like it. So fantastic. I think book number 4, like, he's putting whispers out about it coming out soon. And also the first book in the series, Gunmetal Gods, is one of those Kickstarters that I backed. Both of these are indie, by the way. So a lot of indie authors are getting into the Kickstarter world, and I love that for them. But there's too many of them now. Like, my wallet can't do it anymore, so I have to be very careful with which books I decide to back, but this one I was not letting pass me by. This is a Middle Eastern based grimdark world, and it is is dark, okay? Throw in eldritch horror on top of that and like cosmic horror. It's so good, but it messes with you. But if that sounds like it's up your alley, I highly recommend. Okay, I said I wasn't gonna talk about these books, and here I am like waxing poetic about the first two. Let me get my act together here. These next three I'm gonna haul like together as a group because they're kind of a set. And these are all novellas, Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere novellas. So I have Dawnshard, which is my favorite novella he's ever written. This book felt like it was written for me. The setting, the characters that it follows are all my favorite side characters. Ugh, I adore this book. So I knew I was gonna get this anyway, but I like that this has a little detail on the hardback. But then the other two here are older novellas. This is Edge Dancer and The Secret History. I've already read both of these, and I knew that I wanted to add them to my collection because I have the whole, well, you can't see it in frame right now, but I have all of the white UK paperbacks. Oh, you can see, yeah, so you can see my UK white paperbacks of the Stormlight Archive behind me here. These, they were not easy to get. This Worlds of Radiance book it was hard to track that down secondhand. But I am nothing if not a sucker for beautiful things. So I knew I wanted my collection to match. So I was kind of eyeing up these novellas, and I knew I was going to get them eventually to add them to my collection. But then Book Depository went out of business, and they were having a big sale. And I couldn't really, you know, justify the price of getting these when I'd already read them and they weren't like, you know, limited edition until I saw the sale price, and I was like, well, now is the time. So I purchased these three to add to my collection. Next is another SPIFFO finalist from SPIFFO 8, and I don't buy all of the finalists. I usually do ebook, but if I love the book, then I will support the author by getting the physical edition, and I did that for A Song for the Void. This was a 10 out of 10. It has everything that I love in my dark fantasy. It's got the cosmic eldritch horror that Gunmetal Gods has, and it's very dark. It delves into these themes of like addiction. I'm getting ahead of myself. I said I wasn't gonna say the premise, but I'll break my rule just for this book because I love it so much, and it's an indie that I think needs some more love. But basically we follow a doctor who is on a warship, and the people on that warship start to slowly go insane at the same time as this like burning star-like entity seems to appear in the sky. And we follow this doctor as he tries to figure out, is he also kind of losing it, or like what's going on? This next one I also couldn't believe I hadn't like officially hauled yet because it's behind me in pretty much all of my videos, Pride of Place, and that is The Hunger of the Gods, the sequel to The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Love this series. It's everything I could possibly want in an epic fantasy. Goliath gods ripping through the sky, fantastic world building that's just got this wonder to it, great battle scenes, characters I'm in love with. It's wonderful. 5-star series. Cannot wait for the 3rd installment. Next, also from that Book Depository haul when they were going out of business, is my children classic of Sense and Sensibility. I love these children classics. I plan to collect at least all of the flower versions of them because I think they are stunning. They've got the gilded edges, and the pages have this like gloss-like feel to them. It's a very heavy book for the size that it is, but I think they're stunning. And I have always wanted to read Sense and Sensibility. I read my first Jane Austen 2 years ago, I think, Pride and Prejudice, and I adored it. So I have a really good feeling about this book. Next, we have the 3rd in a series, Godbreaker by Mike Brooks. I read the first one, The Black Coast, and absolutely adored it. I have a full review, actually, of me screaming about that book, so I'll have that link down below if you want to check that out. I don't think enough people love on this series, honestly. The second book is The Splinter King, and I thoroughly enjoyed that as well. Not as much as The Black Coast, but still loved it. And then the 3rd book is Godbreaker. I really don't have any excuse as to why I haven't read this yet. I really would like to finish this series because I really love the world and I would be excited to get back to it. So I think this is one that I'm definitely going to have to prioritize or keep my eye on for 2024. And I plan to finish series anyway, so yeah, I think this is getting read this year. This next one was also from the very same sale, and this is one that catches my eye every single time I see it, and I was like, okay, I just need to get it. And that is The Thousand Deaths of Arthur Ben. I love The Lies of Locke Lamora. I haven't talked about it on my channel for a long time because I read it, I think, before I started my channel or right after I started it. So, you know, I haven't read it recently, and on it, obviously the Thorn of Emberlane has been hinted at for years now, and it really seems like there's truly whispers coming out, and the Broken Binding is also doing that as one of its series for 2024, so I have a feeling we might get something Thorn of Emberlane coming out soon, which I'm ecstatic about. But I hear this book comped to The Lies of Locke Lamora all the time. She is a chonker, but definitely has that flop to it, which is wonderful. So I think this is going to be a great, at least physical reading experience. But I hear this is like heisty with like a thief that's from the underground, the underworld. That makes him sound like he's like Hades or something. You know what I mean? Like the underbelly. That's the word I was looking for. The underbelly of the city. Just has, if it has those same vibes, I feel like it's something that I'm really going to enjoy. This is the last one, I think, from that book depository haul, and this I had my eye on for a long time because it was part of my older fantasy TBR, and that is Guards Guards by Terry Pratchett. I knew I wanted to start reading the Discworld, but this is like the one that everyone basically recommends if you're gonna start, you know, not from the very beginning. So this is the one that I went for, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I never wrote my full review for it because I had so many thoughts going through my head after finishing this. I really need to get on that, but I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I definitely plan to continue in the Discworld eventually. It's not a super high priority, but it is something that I'd slowly like to work through over the years. Next is one I picked up from a Japanese bookstore. It just struck my fancy when I saw it, and I decided to pick it up, and that is The Cat Who Saved Books. I've already read this. I also have a couple tabs in here, nowhere near what the other books were. This is very much one of those stories that's written by a person who loves books for people who love books, and it comes through on the page, and it was just a delightful little read. I had a great time with it. Highly recommend. The next book I have here was a Kickstarter that I backed called The Anatomy of Fear. This has a killer collection of indie authors. Previously mentioned Zamal Akhtar is in here, Trudy Skies, Tim Hardy, Crystal Matar, Bjorn Larson, Jacob Sanex, H.L. Tinsley. Like there's more, obviously that's not 12 people, but I just named a couple of them. It's a powerhouse of a book. And the concept is that every author picks a body part and then has to write a horror fantasy story around that body part. And we actually did a page-turning episode with all of the contributors to this, and I highly recommend it because it sold me on this. I haven't picked it up yet because when I first got it, I was in the mood for like something creepy and like horror-esque, but I haven't been recently. So I'm just kind of waiting for the perfect mood to strike to pick up something creepy that'll make my skin crawl a little bit, and I think that this is going to be perfect for that. I'll have that page-turning linked down below if you want to check it out. Next, I have The Black God's Drums by P. Jelly Clark. This I bought because I was rereading all of his Dead Djinn World novellas again in preparation for page chewing. We had Clark on at the end of last year, and while I had already read all of his Dead Djinn works before, I wanted them to be fresh in my brain. But after reading them, I wanted more, especially of his short fiction. I think he is a master of short fiction. So I had never read The Black God's Drums, and I ended up reading it via audio at first, and I loved it so much I knew I needed a physical copy. These like little tour novellas are some of my favorite book formats. They're so cute, so cozy, such a good reading experience. Like, I love these. The Haunting of Tramcar 015 also comes in this type of this format, and I want all of his short fiction to come in this format because I would buy that up in a heartbeat. This one had lower reviews overall than his Dead Djinn stuff, so I kind of went in with lower expectations. Didn't need to do that whatsoever. It blew me away. I loved it. We've got two more in this section. The next one is Night on the Galactic Railroad and Other Stories. This is by Kenji Miyazawa. I actually picked this up because my favorite Japanese artist, Jun Ida, that you see behind you, I'm going to haul a couple of those books in this book haul, so you'll see what I'm referring to. But there's 3 different volumes of his work that are all dedicated to visual representations of quotes from Miyazawa's work. And I love some of the art in those collections, so it made me want to read some of Miyazawa's stuff myself. So I ended up getting this short collection. It has the main story, The Night on the Galactic Railroad, as well as 2 short stories and a poem. I have a reading vlog and a recent reads video both discussing this book, so I'll have those linked down below. Basically, anytime I reference another video, like a page turning or a vlog where I talk about a book in more detail or a full-blown review, I'll have it linked down below. And the last book from this section of the haul is Lord and King by P.L. Stewart. This is the 3rd book in the Drowned Kingdom saga series. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I have a vlog of me reading this, as well as I did a deep dive with PL and a couple other readers over on PL's channel where we talk about this book. So it is spoilery, so if you haven't read the 1st and 2nd installment in the series, you can't quite watch that yet. But if you have, then I would definitely go check out that deep dive. Again, link down below, as with everything else. Okay, now let's get into the broken binding section of this haul. Like I said, I get the subscription books every month, but sometimes I do buy a couple extras. And this first one is actually one of those extras, and that is Bookshops and Bone Dust. I also have their edition of Legends and Lattes, so I knew I wanted to have the complete set. I just love this cover art. It just makes me happy. We have the stenciled edges. Unfortunately, the edges are a bit misaligned, and I did email them about that, but they said that an entire print run came out that way and they can't replace them all, so they did offer me a discount, which of course I took. So that's a shame, but you know, stuff happens. And then if we look under the dust jacket, this is what the naked hardback looks like. And it's also the same on the back, which I love when they do that. And here is the spine, the naked spine. Actually, let me see if I can pull out Legends and Lattes so you can see them together. So here they are together as a set. Here are the edges. And then if you haven't seen the Legends and Lattes special edition, it has this awesome sword embossed onto it. And both of them are signed. I adore both of these books, by the way. I think that's a very common sentiment in the adult fantasy, you know, kind of world. Just fantastic, cozy, warm hugs of books. These next 3 are part of the subscription. We've got Best Served Cold, The Heroes, and Red Country, all by Joe Abercrombie. This is the 2nd trilogy, I think, in the First Law world. I'm not sure if this trilogy has its own name. It very well might. But these have these like parchment feel to them. They are fantastic quality, the dust jackets are. And then the coolest part is that they form this picture with the digital edges. I mean, look at the detail. Let's see if it'll, there we go. Look at the detail on those. Absolutely stunning. I'll show you guys what the naked hardbacks look like. So Best Served Cold looks like this. And there's always a quote on the spine. So this one says, "Mercy and cowardice are the same." Brutal. And of course, because it's a subscription book, it is numbered and signed. And it's pretty cool. They also have like the end pages are a map. I don't know if the back end pages are the same. Let me see. Yes, they are. Back end pages are also a map. I've currently read The Blade Itself and Before They Are Hanged, and The Blade Itself was like, okay, but Before They Are Hanged sold me on the series, so I'm really looking forward to continuing on. Then we have The Heroes. This is what the naked hardback looks like, and the quote on the spine says, "In war, there are no straight lines," which is very much true. And finally, Red Country. The naked hardback looks like this. And the quote is, "Old milk turns sour, but old scores just get sweeter." Sounds like a revenge story. Oh, and I didn't show the Heroes end papers, but there's different maps on each end paper. These next 3 are also a subscription series. I believe the name of the entire thing is The Chronicles of the Bitch Queen, which I love. But the first one is The Wolf of Oren-Yaro. The second one is The Ikesar Falcon. I've never said that out loud before. That's deceivingly hard to say. And The Dragon of Jinsaying. Again, I love this cover. But these are beautiful, but the showstoppers are, as usual, the pages. Okay, here are the sprayed edges for these. I'm such a sucker for mountains, and look at that color scheme. I cannot get enough of it. Let's go ahead and show you guys the naked hardbacks, okay? Again, stunning. I'm telling you, the Broken Binding is upping their game every single month. But here is the naked hardback for the first one, The Wolf of Oroñaro. And then we have these like nightmarish end pages. Next, book number 2, The Ikesar Falcon. We have, surprise, surprise, a falcon as the foiling on here. Again, just absolutely gorgeous. Let's see if I can hide my face. There we go. And it is wrap around as well. Oh, just absolutely stunning. And then we have, again, kind of these nightmarish falcons as the end papers. Then we have the third book, The Dragon of Jin Sayang. Oh, I've dropped my bookmarks, I see. The naked hardcover on this is a dragon, which means there are probably going to be dragons in this series, which I mean, everyone loves the dragon. Absolutely stunning. I love this color scheme, the maroon and the gold. And then we have the dragons as the end papers. I have not read the series yet, but the vibes are impeccable. Next is not a subscription book. It's one that I bought like a plus. I couldn't help it, but I had to go for it. And that is The Will of the Many. This was like so many people that I trust and share the same taste as their favorite book of 2023. It swept those lists completely. And I just love how different this cover artwork is. I think it's gorgeous, and then wraps around to the back. The back quote says, "If all you're trying to do is change who's in control, then you don't really want to change anything." Then the edges on this one. And then if we look at the naked hardcover, the foiling on this is absolutely stunning. And there's the spine. And the back cover is the same as the front. And then the end pages, we have like a Colosseum looking thing. And on the back, we've got what looks like a labyrinth. Also signed and numbered, as all of these are. The next Broken Binding set is the Powder Mage Trilogy. Haven't read this yet, and it's kind of outside of my usual genre of fantasy, but I've heard some really good reviews, so I decided to not skip and go ahead and get this as well. But here is what the first one looks like. Promise of Blood. There's the back. It says, "The age of kings is dead and I have killed it." Next, number two is the Crimson Campaign. The back says, "The hounds at our heels will soon know we are lions." And number 3 is the Autumn Republic, with the back quote saying, "I would die for my country, but I'd rather kill for it," which I think is a great quote, actually. And then, of course, the sprayed edges on these. Again, upping their game, I swear, with every new edition. And I'll go ahead and show you guys the naked hardbacks real quick. These are different in that they didn't go for foiling. They went for a print that is wraparound. So this is a Promise of Blood. And then we've got different end papers on each one. There's so much art in these. It's amazing. And then the back end pages. This is the Crimson Campaign. Looks like someone being hunted through some woods, which I am digging. Here are the end papers. And the third and final book, The Autumn Republic. End pages. It looks like we're getting some magic, which I am a fan of. I love the Broken Bindings foiling, but there's just something so unique and different about having this kind of wraparound art as well. I don't know, I really dig both. I'm pretty sure that I hauled the Tide Child trilogy already, which you can see behind me. These are the edges, probably some of my favorite edges that the Broken Binding has ever done, but I'm pretty sure I've already hauled that. If I haven't, it might have been in a vlog where I showed the details, and I'll be sure to link that down below. if you want to see these more up close. But I think I've already hauled those. So we're going to move on to the last subscription books, which is the most recent or the current series, which is, I think it's called the Hanged God Trilogy. There we go. The first one is Northern Wrath. The back quote says, "Honor the dead, remember their names, see their faces, and speak of their ways." And then we have Shackled Fates. I love this gigantic polar bear. I had never heard of this series, but the more that I see of it, the more I think I'm going to love it. The back says, "A giant lays dead in the Hall of Fates. Now let the word spread and open the gates." This is what the pages look like for this series. So obviously the third one will complete the whole thing. And of course, let's go ahead and look at them naked. Here is the first one, Northern Wrath. Gives me Siege vibes. Here is the end paper art. I love this particular end paper. Like, it looks like her eyes are bleeding, and if we get a Harikost like magic system, I'm obsessed with those. So I'm telling you, like I said, the more I learn, the more I think this is going to be very much up my alley. Shackled Fates naked looks like this. There's the back. And end pages. This is the end page that sold me on the series. Like, this is the art that sold me on the series. I was gonna skip, and then I saw that. I was like, and this one as well. I was like, well, I can't skip now. And the final broken binding book, before we get to the ones that maybe you want to film this haul, is Green Rider. When I saw that the Broken Binding was releasing an edition of this, I had to get this. When I was really young, I picked this up randomly from like one of those library sales where you often pick up books that you have no business reading when you're that young. This one's not that vibe at all, but I picked it up without knowing anything about it. And then I saw what the naked book looked like, and I was like, Broken Binding, take my money. I'm throwing my money at you, literally. Come on. Come on. I love this book. I never continued the series because I was like too young to kind of commit to that type of thing, but I was a horse girly, okay, unashamedly so, and I loved this book. So I really want to reread this. I'm thinking of doing a reread vlog soon, and this is the reason that I really decided that I was gonna make that a reality, because I want to reread this as an adult and see if I love it as much, especially with this gorgeous edition. Oh, the end papers. I forgot to show the end papers. They're the same. They're the same on the front and the back. And finally, of course, my camera is running out of battery as soon as we get to the one that inspired this whole video, but I think we can do it. Unfortunately, because of this battery issue, I had to go kind of fast and skimp and unfortunately not show the beautiful internal illustrations in both the Six of Crows editions and the Broken Binding Press Bound in the Broken series. So I would really like to revisit that, because I think it's a shame not to show all the internal hard work or all the hard work that went into the internal illustrations. So you can look forward to that in a future video for sure. And that is the absolutely stunning edition of Six of Crows that I got. This is my first ever LitJoy purchase. Okay, they do super special edition of books. So the box, what can I think of it? The word I'm looking for. The slipcase has these wings that come out, and the top comes up and says The Crow Club. Come on now. Everything is magnetized, so you can like lay it flat or put it back up. And then the doors open, and here they are. These are really heavy though, so I'm gonna take them out and show you them. If you don't know, I am a huge Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom fan. Again, I read it before I really had a channel, so I haven't talked about them in a long time, but they might be some of my most reread books. I adore them. Oh my god, I just realized I forgot 2 other books. Shit, we're gonna run out of battery, aren't we? Well, let's at least get these done, and maybe I'll tack on the last 2 at the end. These dust jackets actually, unfortunately, got really scuffed in the mail, and LitJoy did warn us about that. They said that they're going to replace them for free, but they wanted to get the books to us. So this is what they look like. Okay, this is Six of Crows, and this is Crooked Kingdom. Look at that shine, and this is actually a cutout, which I think is such a cool like aspect to these. So if we take the dust jacket off, gosh, these are heavy. This is what the naked book looks like. And here is Crooked Kingdom. And Crooked Kingdom naked. And then these are the pages. I mean, look at the detail in there. Ugh, just gorgeous. And the thing that sold me on these is not only are there internal illustrations, but there's annotations from the Bardugo herself. I thought it was going to be in Crooked Kingdom as well as Six of Crows. Unfortunately, it's just, you know, Six of Crows, but you can see here, there's like handwritten annotations in the book, and it's throughout the entire story, which I think with how much I've reread these, the only way I could really justify buying another edition is if there was something new added to it. So having these annotations, plus each one has 5 different internal artwork pieces inside, that's how I knew it was like probably worth my money. And these are absolutely gorgeous. I do think they're worth the money. Although I really do wish that there were annotations in Crooked Kingdom as well. This is the last broken binding book I have, which is Of Blood and Fire, which is the first book in the Broken Binding Press. They did a beautiful job with this. You can see the gilding around the outside. I know that they have really high hopes for their press in the future, and this is a really good start. We've got the gold gilded edges, and then here is the naked. It's cloth bound and also has a sewn binding, which is something that I really, really like in my special editions. It means longevity, it means quality. And here are the maps and the end papers. And the book that is not from the Broken Binding but is a special edition is one that is overpriced, admittedly so, but I couldn't help myself because The Lies of Locomora is one of my favorite series of all time. And that is this Gollancz edition here. Look at that. How can you resist? How can you say no to this, especially when you love the series? There's nothing new inside, there's no artwork, like the inside is the same, so I understand it's overpriced, but I could not resist. Here are the end pages. I think they're the same on both sides, yes. But the vibes are just immaculate. The quote on the back says, "The difference between honest and dishonest commerce is that when an honest man or woman in business or woman of business ruins someone, they don't have the courtesy to cut their throat to finish the affair." This is another one of those books that I really want to reread that inspired that reread vlog that's coming soon, so yee, love this for me. Let me know in the comments down below if you have bought any books recently. What are some of the things that you are most excited to have in your collection? I would love to chat. I was running out of battery at the end here, so I'm sorry if it felt like it was rushed. I was trying to get through the last couple ones there, even though they're the ones I was most excited for, ironically. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I still haven't bought that second battery, so bear with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell. I'd love to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate it. But for now, I'm gonna head out. Jenny!